He was a father of three, drifting from job to job, always chasing the next thrill. She was a wealthy wife, with everything money could buy, except the one thing she craved most: connection. They met in the gym, a place meant for self-improvement. But what they built together would destroy two marriages, four lives, and every illusion they had about love. This is the story of Antonio and Bella, and the affair that detonated two families. Antonio was the kind of man who lived on impulse. Three kids, a wife named Denise, a job history that looked like a patchwork quilt. Never stable, never consistent, and always shifting. But he had charm. He had swagger, and he had a weakness for attention. Bella lived in a different world entirely. Her husband Frank was a successful businessman, the kind of man who built an empire from nothing. Money wasn't a problem. Travel wasn't a problem. Security wasn't a problem. But connection, that was the one thing her marriage didn't give her. She had the house, the lifestyle, and the comfort, but she didn't have him. And that's where Antonio walked in.
Antonio was the guy that everybody liked at the gym. Fit, you admired, and when you admire someone, you kind of hope they rub off on you. Bella was looking for connection. It didn't hurt that Antonio was a handsome fellow, very fit, and always wanted to give advice. And so this is what gets people to connect. It's not that she was low on the totem pole in reference to being secure with herself. She just was craving connection. She wanted something to feel desired again, and Antonio fit the bill.
They met in the morning, the only time their schedules aligned. As they connected more and more, after a few casual conversations, some good laughs, and shared glances that lingered a little bit too long, then it got deeper. Let's go get a smoothie after a workout. That eventually turned into a lunch, and then the hotel room. It escalated fast, because it always does. Two people who swore they weren't looking for anything found exactly what they were missing. Bella found connection. Antonio found validation. And maybe in his mind, knowing how successful a lifestyle that Bella comes from, a financial future. They made a pact early on. We can do this as long as we both agree we don't leave our marriages. It was their safety net, their justification, their illusion of control. But affairs don't stay controlled. They grow, they demand, they consume. And this one was no different. So why would a person put boundaries in an affair relationship? Because again, the key thing was they both had some form of stability. Antonio has a family. She has a security plan with a very successful husband. But these things always tend to change. You think you're meeting all your six human needs: the feel of security, the feel of variety, the feel of significance, the feel of love and connection, growth and contribution. And you're getting that in your present day committed relationship. But eventually, someone is going to want more, and that's going to put a wrench in any relationship when there's always a situation when you're already committed. Everything was fine until the schedules changed. Frank started working from home during the day. Denise's hours also shifted Suddenly, the windows of opportunity began to shrink. Bella, she still had her freedom though. Even though Frank was home, she had her rituals, her routine, gym, lunch, and friends. Frank would sleep during the day because he worked late into the night. But Antonio's wife was now working during the hours he used to spend with Bella. And Antonio had a rule. The one thing he refused was to compromise. To compromise what, though? Well, for one, his kids. He wasn't going to risk losing them. Not yet. Not until he secured his future. So the affair slowed, then stalled, then became inconsistent. 2 weeks without seeing each other, then a rushed coffee or a walk in the park, and a quick hotel room. The intimacy began to fade. The spark began to go dim, and the fantasy cracked. And Bella began to notice. Notice that it's just not the same as it was. The new part of the relationship is now gone. And you begin to see things within people. You see things in people that maybe it was just that. Maybe it wasn't love. Maybe it was just a fling. Maybe I want more. More than Frank and more than Antonio. The wheels in the brain were moving. And Antonio can feel it.
And this is the thing. This is that monkey wrench that gets thrown into things. Someone wants something different, something more. Because after the pattern of this is fun and this is interesting and intimacy and love and connection, we start to think about our future. And she knows what she has with her husband, Frank. They spent many years together. And she's seeing the inconsistencies of a man like Antonio that really has no purpose outside of what he's doing. So what does this extend to? What didn't happen? Can someone get hurt? Does someone get hurt? Let's find out.
Bella wasn't used to being second. She was not used to waiting or sharing. And she made this clear to Antonio. Don't tell me you're still intimate with your wife. I can't be with you thinking about that. I find this disgusting. But she still was intimate with her husband. Why was that okay? She just didn't want Antonio to be intimate with his wife. Bella wanted connection, but she also wanted control. Antonio wanted Bella, but he also wanted his kids, his marriage, and his financial safety net, which at this point, he was starting to think about that. Bella, if she divorces Frank, or I should say when, I'll have the safety net I need. Here were two people wanting everything, while giving up nothing. The distance, though, would grow, the resentment would grow, and the insecurity would grow. And then came the moment that changed everything. Antonio started thinking about leaving Denise for good. Not for love, not for Bella, but for a love, the love of money. And when he was out having his guys' night, he told his friends, I think I found my money train. Because his friends even know about his inconsistencies, about saying how big he was and how he was going to do this and that, only for it to fall apart. And so he thought Bella would secure his future. He thought divorcing Denise would give him access to a lifestyle he never had. He thought wrong.
And so Antonio began to think of his future. And he thought of himself as a Casanova. He thought by her loving on him, loving with him, that she is so head over heels, that she's so emotionally involved, that she's going to leave her husband. But I always said, relationships are like businesses. They are investments. Now, hopefully in your investment, you are in love. In this case, I don't know if Bella was quite in love, but she knew the investment she made, and she knew the future she could have with Frank. She's not drinking the Kool-Aid when it comes to Antonio.
Denise, she wasn't a suspicious woman by nature. She trusted Antonio, her husband. She believed in her marriage. But something changed. Antonio, to get back on the old schedule that he once had, Antonio started picking petty fights, started making things up, leaving the house, saying he had things to do. He had some possibilities to make them feel more financially stable and comfortable. He would distance himself. He would become irritable towards Denise and defensive. And not only did Denise notice this, but the kids did as well. They'd never seen their parents argue, well, at least not like this. Denise confided in her closest friend Grace one day at lunch. Grace didn't sugarcoat it. I have to tell you, Denise, she said, this sounds like a man who's up to no good. And you know, for the first time, Denise allowed herself to consider the possibility. And once that door opened, she couldn't close it. She started researching, reading, looking for signs, looking for red flags, and she found them.
So here's the thing. When patterns in life change, they change for only two reasons: to get out of pain or to get into some form of pleasure. Antonio looked at Bella as a form of pleasure. So he would put himself and his relationship currently with Denise in pain in order to run to the pleasure principle. The only problem was Denise was now in pain, and nothing hurts more than when a woman is scorned. She's going to find ways to find out, why did your pattern change? What are you doing that's making me think and feel this way?
With Denise thinking about, why is this so different? What should I do? She took the idea of surveillance. Denise took a medical leave from work, and she told Antonio she was returning to her old schedule. But she wasn't, and it lowered his guard. Oh, good, because these were the hours that was more convenient back in the early days with Bella. So she rented a car with dark tinted windows. He had no idea because he figured Denise was at work, and she began to follow him. And she saw everything. The hotel, the bungalows by the beach. Bella walked in with her husband. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. She took photos. She recorded videos. She documented everything. She didn't confront him. Not yet. She wanted the truth, not excuses, and she was going to get it. Denise eventually reached out to Bella. Bella didn't know she was going to reach out to her because she never seen her before to know what to expect of the other woman, not even a photo, which worked in Denise's favor because she pretended to meet her at places outside where Antonio would normally meet her, coffee shops that she would visit, smoothie shops, and just compliment her on her hair, on her fitness. She would ask her things like, oh, do you come here often? Do you have a personal trainer? And she would admit eventually, because she felt this was just another woman that she could see as a friend. So Bella began to confess things as they got closer. Denise, her plan was working perfectly. And Denise would record these conversations. She admitted the affair. She admitted the hotels and the connection with a married man. But she admitted one thing. She admitted she would never leave Antonio for Frank. And Denise recorded every word. And then she revealed who she was. She said, I have to tell you something. I am Denise, and I am Antonio's wife. Bella looked as if she'd seen a ghost. She panicked. She begged and pleaded. "It's over. It's over. I promise I won't go any further." Denise said the damage is done. And then she gave her 24 hours. "Tell your husband, or I will. I will give you the choice that you didn't give me." And Bella's world collapsed.
And so here's that situation where it's all crumbling down, and you have nothing in your favor if you're Bella to make a shift, to make a change. You can't say, act, or do anything to make this person, even if I'll never see this person again, it's over, please. You're just letting her know you have now more ammunition, that you're willing to keep your husband at any cost. But she didn't really want revenge to a degree. She just wanted to let her know, I know. But you gave her 24 hours to get out of town, basically. Otherwise, I'm going to tell your husband.
Antonio came home, not knowing what happened, ready to start his daily new routine of a petty argument, his usual tactic to escape the house and chase Bella. But Denise stopped him. "Sit down," she said. He froze. She told him everything. The hotels, the photos, the recordings, the conversations. She told him the kids were at his mother's home because she didn't want them to see what was coming. Antonio tried to play the victim. He tried to blame her. He tried to twist the narrative. But Denise was done. She walked out. And meanwhile, across town, Bella sat at the dining room table shaking, feeling the time was going to come when Frank would walk in. And sure enough, Frank did. He walked in, his cheerful way of life, unaware of what was about to unfold. As he sat down, because he could see his wife didn't look like her usual self. She looked anxious. And so he sat down and she told him everything. And Frank exploded. He began to yell, say the things, the humiliation, the betrayal, the rage, and then he demanded a divorce. The two marriages ended in the same night. Denise, she divorced Antonio. The kids were devastated. Antonio lost his home, his stability, his daily life with his children. He now has a range of visits, child support, and something he didn't have as much before because he was holding a job, not holding a job. And he always counted on Denise to pick up the pieces. But now he has to be responsible. For the first time in his life, Antonio has to be a man. Bella's marriage also ended. Frank did try to forgive her, but he couldn't erase the images in his mind. And so they eventually divorced as well. Bella, on the other hand, though, landed on her feet financially. Because of the assets, she got properties, businesses. So she had the stable lifestyle. She never contacted Antonio again. She said it to herself then, and she says it more now. He was a fling, a distraction, my temporary escape. She wanted connection, but she also wanted value in a man, and she knew Antonio could never give her either. You see, affairs don't start with sex. They start with loneliness, with validation, with the illusion that someone finally sees you. But affairs don't stay affairs. Eventually someone wants more and they become obligations. There's demands, threats, secrets, and then the lies. Oh yes. And eventually there's consequences. Antonio wanted love without responsibility, and Bella wanted connection without sacrifice. Both wanted the benefits of marriage without the work. And in the end, they destroyed the very thing they were trying to escape from, the emptiness inside themselves.
And that's what it comes down to. Two people who thought they wanted the same thing, but really wanted something else. Antonio, as you heard, was kind of happy in his relationship. He just wanted to feel stable, but he also did have a need of wanting connection, of admiration, of someone who values me. Not that Denise didn't, but I'm Superman. Look at the way people look at me at the gym, thinking so much about himself that he forgot the victims that he left behind. And now he's living a lifestyle where this may have been the best thing for him. Unfortunately, not for Denise at the time, or maybe even now. But I'm sure she'll land on her feet knowing how to look for red flags. But this point I want to make is that now Antonio has to become a man because, as he said, his children are everything. And he didn't want to do anything, at least, to jeopardize that. And in the end, he did. And Bella, well, she received finances and comfort still. Hopefully she learned a lesson. The thought is, at least now I know what I want in a man. Is that a lesson learned? You could let us know in the comments, but until next time, I hope you enjoyed the show. This is Greg saying I hope you have a great day or evening wherever you are, but before you do, please again, subscribe, like, share, and comment. And until next time, once again, have a great day or evening wherever you are.